It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis is here. We're joined by Lynne D. Johnson to talk about the latest Google news and a big acquisition for Samsung. What's up with the Galaxy S6? We'll talk about that and more, all coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 288, recorded February 18th, 2015. I'm not Fish Wrap. This Week in Google is brought to you by Lynda.com. Invest in yourself and start learning today. Lynda.com has thousands of courses to help you learn new tech, business, and creative skills. For a free 10-day trial, visit lynda.com/twig. That's LYNDA.com/twig. And by ldproducts.com, the ink and toner experts. Shop online at ldproducts.com for high-quality products at discount prices. For 10% off ink and toner cartridges plus free shipping, excluding OEM, go to ldproducts.com/twit and use the offer code TWIT. And by LegalZoom. Get your life organized and protect your family with a will or living trust. Plus, incorporate your business or form an LLC. LegalZoom's not a law firm, but can connect you with an independent attorney. Visit LegalZoom.com and use the offer code TWIG to receive $10 off at checkout. Time for Twig This Week in Google. Show where we cover not just Google, but the cloud, Facebook, Twitter, social media, newspapers, stand-ups on TV, whatever the heck we want to talk about. That's because we've got such great people on this show, including Mr. Jeff Jarvis, professor of journalism at the City University of New York. BuzzMachine.com is his blog. He's written many books, including the latest, Geeks Bearing Gifts.
I have one to hold up. Yes.
Hold it up. Hold it up.
I don't have one. I don't have
Imagine it in your mind.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Got it. Got it. There we go.
There it is. Imagining New Futures for News. He's also the author of What Would Google Do with Public Parts and Gutenberg the Geek. Are you Professor Jarvis? Like, do you?
I am. I believe it or not, I'm a full one.
Wow. You got tenure, huh?
Yeah.
So you can say anything you want.
Yeah.
I'm going to circle back to you about television criticism, because that's the other thing Jeff's very famous for. Yeah. Many years a TV critic, founder of Entertainment Weekly. And I was just thinking the other day about you while I was critiquing a TV show. I was thinking about criticism in general. But we'll get to that in a moment.
We'll get to that because we have more important business first.
We have to introduce a new guest on This Week in Google, Lynne D. Johnson.
Hello.
Hello, Lynne. Welcome. Lynne comes highly recommended, a friend of Gina Trapani's. She is a content and community consultant, developing content and community strategies for brands, but she's also worked at Fast Company, Vibe Spin, Vibe Vixen. Wow. She is a Vibe Vixen, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad to have her.
Yes, I was a Vibe Vixen.
I don't even want to ask what that was.
It's okay.
What was it, a magazine?
Yeah, it was. It was a magazine and an online component as well.
Oh, okay. Lynne,
was it Vibe aimed at women or?
So Vibe magazine is a pop culture publication.
Yeah.
Multicultural. Right. Oh, but Vixen was aimed at women.
It's the new style of sexy.
Basically. There you go. Oh, you found it.
Oh, honey, we find everything fast here. We are fast kittens on the keyboard, ladies and gentlemen. I warned Lynne not to go in the chat room because, well, just because it's distracting. But she's in there, so if you want it. What is your chat handle, Lynne?
I didn't even pick one yet because I told you I was trying to do it on.
She's doing
Android
the web
Chrome.
Yeah, that's
it didn't. Yeah, I have to get a client right now.
Yep.
I'll do that.
We'd love it if you do. You don't have to do it right now. Right now might not be the right time. So speaking of right time, timing is everything if you're selling shares of your company. Larry Page and Sergey Brin have decided to, according to a filing with the SEC, sell off some shares. So that's nice. As of January 30th of this year, They had a total of 44.6 million shares of Class B and 44.6 million shares of Class C stock. They're going to sell 2 million each of the Class B common stock. And, of course, only Google founders and Googlers can have Class B, so it'll convert to Class A upon sale. And then another 2 million shares each of the non-voting Class C, which I presume will also convert, for a total of cha-ching, $4.4 billion. Wow. But they're only selling 10% of their holding.
Right. I mean, they're still the major controllers of the company. It doesn't, it's...
Yeah. Well, they'll own 11.9%. But they have 52% of the voting power. They really, when Google went public, this was considered at the time. They did some really interesting things when they went public, including what was a Dutch auction they did. But they also made sure that they kept a lot of the voting power. So
well, and the split aimed even more control, as I remember, right?
Yes,
when they did the split.
That's right. They converted some shares. So 52% of the voting power. Nobody's going to change the plans at Google anytime soon. Class B shares, mostly owned by Bryn Page and Eric Schmidt, have 10 times the voting power. I love this picture. This is from Business Insider. That's Larry. That's 2006. They're a little older and grayer than that picture. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I don't think anybody in the stockholders should worry that they're selling. It's 10%. Cash in a little stock. I wish I could cash in $4.4 billion worth of something. Wonder what they'll do with it.
It leads to things like philanthropy and estate planning and probably buying another plane or something, investing.
Gets to be a point, though, where you have so much money that you don't even really...
It's absurd.
It's got to be a different world where you don't even have to... I mean, I can't even imagine. It's just a different world. There is a burden, though, and I don't know how philanthropic are they, and how philanthropic is Google. There is a point where it gets to be so much that you really should give some away.
Google does a fair amount.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah. Google.org. Don't forget they pledged a portion of equity, portion of revenue. Benioff is the leader of that in San Francisco of pushing companies to pledge portions of revenue and portions of revenue, portions of equity, and portions of employee time.
Each year, Google.org donates $100 million in grants, $1 billion in products, and 80,000 hours in Googler time. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But do Larry and Sergey have their own? Is there a Page Foundation or a?
I think one of them does related to health stuff.
That's right.
I think it's Larry.
That would be Larry, right?
Yeah. Larry,
I think so.
Yeah.
The other thing is. There's nothing to say that they have to be public about it. Right. And you don't know what they give.
In fact, I think that's the way to do it. The left hand should not know what the right hand is.
But I was thinking about that. I was almost going to call into the Stern show for some reason. I forget what the peg was, and ask Howard because he's very public about his wife's charity, which is the Long Island animal shelter that she's building for cage-free cats. So he does stuff. He does a calendar. He takes the photos, so on and so forth. You know that he does other philanthropy. He mentions it very discreetly.
Good.
But doesn't talk about it. But I was wondering about this, and I wanted to ask him. And I guess I understand why. It's a matter of humility, but it also is an opportunity to promote a cause or a charity that you care about. And by not saying I give to blank, then you give up that opportunity. I understand why you don't, both from let's not trumpet my charity, says rich person, and also because once I mention one charity, they're all going to come running, like universities, like this one.
Well, you'd also want to be a role model, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, but I think part of why you don't disclose is because it could look like you give preference to certain groups over others.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't the right kind of disclosure be something like, I give 10% of all my income to charity, period. And then, choose the charity of your choice. And this all comes from this perception, and I don't know if it's real anymore, but for a long time there's this perception that Silicon Valley was minting millionaires, but they were not very progressive in their charitable contributions. I don't know if that's still the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either, but if you're a millionaire and you have a really good accountant, an accountant is going to advise you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, to do that. You know.
Actually, I should be because I have an accountant, and the truth is that the federal government keeps raising the threshold of your AGI for what you could deduct. And so, in fact, they are not incenting giving as much as they should. They're disincenting it all the time. I can't remember what the threshold is now, but I think it's over. It was 4%. I think it's gone up. Yeah. And that's wrong. That means you have to give more than 4% of your income before you could start deducting it. That first 4% is taxable.
It's on you.
Yeah. Just the same thing they do with medical expenses. And that just doesn't seem like the right way to promote philanthropy. I don't know if I should talk about this. It turns out that you can deduct from $1 if you do something called community development. So when we give, TWIC gives a lot of my charities, all my charity almost is local. And that's one of the reasons, because then you can deduct it from $1 if it's called community development as opposed to charity. Anyway, there's ways and ways. That's why you have an account.
I have two major charities, Tufts University and the next one.
And the next one?
Oh, my daughter's. My daughter's.
Oh, the next university. Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah.
Tell me that. I have 2 kids in college. That's a charity. Yeah, they're both nonprofits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oy.
Yeah.
No kids, Lynn?
Yeah, kids, not in college yet.
Not in college? The teenagers?
Nope, not yet. One teenager, one toddler.
Oh, my. Oh, my. That's why we lost Gina. She had a toddler.
Yeah.
And a startup. I don't know which is more.
Which is a toddler.
Which is more challenging. Exactly. Google got a little heat because it revealed flaws in OS 10, 2 flaws in OS 10, 1 flaw in Windows. Before the companies had a chance to patch it, Google said, hey, we give you 90 days. If you don't patch it in 90 days, on day 91, we're going to reveal it to the world to put some pressure on you. This really irritated Microsoft. Microsoft said, we asked for a little more time because it was off our normal patch cycle. And Google said no. In fact, then revealed 3 more bugs. Google now says, well, okay, maybe we were a little harsh. I feel like they're still pretty harsh because now they're saying, okay, we'll give you a 14-day grace period. So if we go to you in the 90-day so what happens with this is Google has a large team looking for exploits, vulnerabilities in operating system software and other software. When they find something, they call the company, Microsoft in this case, and say, hey, fix it, and in 90 days, we're going to reveal it. If a 90-day, Google now says, if a 90-day deadline will expire, but a vendor lets us know before the deadline a patch is scheduled on a specific day, within 14 days, then we'll delay public disclosure.
I think that's fair.
And we're going to only count, this is a weird one, we will not reveal a vulnerability on weekends or U.S. public holidays.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, if it's Ramadan, I guess they don't care. I don't understand why it's U.S. public, but anyway, I think there are being I have mixed feelings about that. We talked about this yesterday on Security Now. On the one hand, I understand that if you don't have any pressure on these companies to fix these flaws, the companies sometimes put it off, and then hackers find the flaws, and now you've got a real problem. On the other hand, this is Google kind of acting like, oh, well, we care about your users, but obviously you don't.
Well, but if you wait 104 days to fix a vulnerability that affects users, then isn't that true?
Well, maybe there's good reasons. Maybe it's hard to make the patch, or there's side effects, or I mean, there can be a lot of legitimate reasons for holding on to a patch. I think implying that Microsoft or Apple don't care about security flaws is a little arrogant.
What, Google arrogant?
I mean, why does Google even have this power to do this in the first place? That's kind of my issue with it.
They've assumed it. Nobody gave them the right. They just decided.
I, for one, have no problem with my new masters.
This is not, Google does this all the time. And this is another issue that we've talked about on Security Now with Steve, and it's kind of in the weeds, but it has to do with certificate signing. Most SSL certificates, for secure browsing, are signed with an encryption technique that is secure, has not been cracked, has not been broken. But as computers get more and more powerful, one can predict that at some point, in a year, 5 years, 10 years, but at some point, computers will be powerful enough to crack this hash. There is a stronger encryption technique available. You can get certificates signed with this. Google has decided that any day now, I think, they're going to start warning people in Chrome if this older technique is used for the signing. It's not that it's insecure. They want to thrust people forward into a new way of signing certificates, and this can cost a lot of money. It can also take a lot of time, and if you are an issuer of these certificates, it can be a significant burden. So, and Google, by the way, doesn't have to worry about it. They use the old hash, but they don't worry about it because they expire their certificates every 3 months. It's kind of a complicated subject, but it's another case, I think, of Google. It's like the United States foreign policy. The old white man's burden. Well, we know better. We got to make sure that everybody on the internet is protected from people like Apple and Microsoft. They're just too dumb to protect people. I don't think this is Google. I think Google needs to be a little bit more collegial on this. That's just my.
I agree with that. I mean, I don't feel like they're partnering with people. They're like partnering with Apple and Microsoft. It's kind of being police, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. I kind of see it as like, when people call Google Skynet, this is another example of that, right?
But it's protecting users in the end.
But it's on its own terms. So, for instance, Microsoft has agreed that they're going to retire these SHA-1 certificates and start warning people in Internet Explorer, but in 18 months. Google has decided, no, that's not soon enough. We're going to move along. Bruce Schneier has done some calculations and says Bruce Schneier, the security guru and my personal savior, says that based on the cost of Amazon computing, a collision attack, using a brute force collision attack, is well within the range of an organized crime certificate, could practically budget by 2018 and a university research project by 2021. So, yes, we need to move from SHA-1 to SHA-2, but do we need to do it tomorrow? And Google says, well, it's dangerously weak, but it's not that there's a problem. So if you use Chrome, you're going to start seeing these warnings, and this is what's interesting. You see this third warning. So the first warning is just a yellow triangle over the HTTPS. Say maybe, watch out, man. But in soon, in 6 months, you're going to get an X over the padlock. The HTTPS will be read and struck out, not because the site is insecure or the certificate's not good, but because it's using a technique that won't be so good in a couple of years.
So basically, you won't be able to visit the page unless
you'll have to override it. Well, I don't know. It's not clear whether it'll say don't go there, or it'll just give you this weird warning.
But Google feels a responsibility because Google is the search engine that sends you to all these places. Google feels a responsibility. But what this screams for, I think, is a standards body. Isn't there one isn't there a collegial place where you get together and have a really boring meeting talking about this stuff?
You'd think so. I don't know. I probably shouldn't be talking. We should get Steve Gibson on if we're going to talk about this because,
God, I can't imagine anything worse than that meeting.
Yeah. I feel bad because I'm so. I can't even go. Like I was on the city council's in Petaluma's digital advisory board. I couldn't even take that. Like I had to quit after 3 weeks. It's like, you guys are driving me crazy. I just want to do something. No, I can't do anything.
I was on the audit bureau. Go ahead, Lynn.
No, I was just going to say, those are the kind of meetings where everybody has to vote on everything.
Yeah. And it's...
Wake me up. Time to vote.
I'm not good with process, which is too bad because I think this is probably not uncommon that this really smart technical people who you need on these kinds of committees probably, in general, are not the people who want to sit on a committee.
That's true.
I would guess. I don't know.
The worst one I was on was the Audit Bureau of Circulations, which audits the circulation of
ABC.
publications.
Yeah.
Their task force to decide digital standards. So we had meeting after meeting after meeting asking the earth-shattering question, what's a page view?
Right.
What's an ad impression?
Oh my God. What's an emoticon?
God, shoot me. Oh, well, this is way before that. This is Stone Ages.
Anyway, this Eric Mill has written a good blog post in which he says, this is at konklone.com. This SHA-1 push should have started years ago. Any annoyance at Google for amping up the pressure should be channeled toward the certificate authorities instead for allowing nothing to happen for so long. I'm not technical enough to learn this. Steve has said, and he is technical enough to have an opinion. He said he feels that Google is pushing this. Microsoft said, we'll do it with Internet Explorer, but they gave everybody a little more time. It's the same thing where you say, well, just more time just means you're going to put it off. So it's like a school teacher. It's a little school marmy saying, if I don't give a deadline for your homework, you're just not going to do it.
All right, but Google needs to protect its users from malware, from other things. All right?
But there's no actual threat here.
I gotcha, but so really what you're quibbling, I don't think you would argue that Google needs to protect users from sending people to places with malware, right?
No,
so that's
in
the
fact,
one end extreme.
we've had that malware alert on our site some years ago because we did in fact have malware on it, and I was grateful to Google.
Exactly. So what you're asking for is, I think, two things: one, a more reasonable line, and two, a little scotch of collaboration in discussing where that line is.
Right.
If there is no body that does this,
there really isn't, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's what is needed. So what Microsoft should be doing, I think, is saying, let's get a committee.
Right.
Committees solve everything.
Well, in the chat room, Web 8747 says, what's crazy to me is that Steve and Leo believe Microsoft is right to set the deadline in 2017, but Google's not right to put it in 2016. Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there should be some standards here.
Yeah, maybe
right?
that's it.
Without standards, it's like anyone's going to do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it.
Well, let me ask you this. When a bad exploit happens, when something bad happens suddenly, like Sony, I presume there is a back channel from all the security guys at all these top companies that connect and compare notes and see what it matters to them. No?
Well, I think that's what the president's actually trying to get
That's
companies
true.
to do. On Friday, he spoke to Silicon Valley saying promoting information sharing.
Also with government, which is the issue, but yeah.
Yeah, he said, you got to work more with us. And there has been some conversation about that as well. I feel like I'm not probably as technical as I need to be to talk about the SHA-1
Well, Lord knows I'm not.
So we'll just...
So did you see that dancing, that animated GIF of the cat through the snow?
I could talk about that. I can talk about that. The president did sign. He was at Stanford University with cyber executives. Eric Schmidt did not go, by the way. He was invited, but sent somebody from Google that knew about technology.
Was that a slap?
Same thing with the CEOs of Facebook. I think it would have been good if Mark went, but he didn't. And he's busy. He's got other stuff to do. And Marissa Mayer didn't go either. He, at the event on Friday, he announced he was going to sign an executive order to encourage the sharing of information regarding cyber threats between private sector and the government, and he did. The order was signed. He said the internet...
How does an order encourage?
I think an order probably only affects the government, right? So he's telling... I don't know.
Oh, okay.
He said the internet is like the Wild West.
Yeah, well, I didn't like that. That pissed me off.
Everybody is online and everybody is vulnerable.
Yeah, that's the technopanic, man. Not good.
He also called cyber attacks one of the greatest threats to national security, safety, and economic issues. Business leaders here, he's speaking to the assembled Silicon Valley leaders, want their privacy and their children protected. just like consumer and privacy advocates here want America to keep leading the world in technology and be safe from attack. See, the president's walking a very narrow line here, because on the one hand, he absolutely is encouraging the NSA to gather all that information. He's refused to block the mass collection of information. But on the other hand, he told Kara Swisher in an interview at Recode, but I want encryption. I understand why you want encryption. You should be able to be private. You can't have it both ways. And maybe you can. Can you have it both ways?
Well, they think they can have encryption backdoors, which means you can't have encryption.
He's never said backdoors.
But people in his administration have floated that balloon.
Right.
And the Brits have certainly floated a flotilla of those balloons. Cameron has.
Ben Desjardins, who is the director of security solutions with Radware, a cybersecurity firm, said the new proposals. He's quoted in this article from benswan.com. The new proposals face significant headwinds, both legislatively from Congress and cooperatively from heavyweights in the tech sector. Many companies, and I think this is the case, feel burned by the government after the Snowden leaks and are very reluctant to let the federal government continue what they see as a takeover of the internet. White House says the executive order is only a framework, and with it, the White House aims to allow private companies access to otherwise classified cyber threat information. Well, that's all right. I mean, as long as that sharing is in that direction.
Right, but they're also calling for a voluntary creation of a common set of standards here. So, which I think is a good thing. But then the problem with that is they're not really giving the companies any incentives to participate.
Right. And companies feel burned already by all of these, the national security letters they're getting, and they feel like nobody outside of the United States is going to buy Cisco products or Microsoft products or Apple products or Facebook or Google because they think that they're all tools of the U.S. government.
Right.
There's another one I think we should just move on, I guess. Just depressed. All right. Sometimes this show is like that, Lynn. I apologize. We just...
I thought it was going to be all, jokes. And
we're going to talk about Street View coming to Greenland when we come back. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
and cats in the snow. Viral video.
Sounds great.
Is there really a cat in the snow viral?
Well, there's a great one. I'll find it for you. It's the best. It's the best. I got to admit, I ridicule cat stuff. This is a cat moment.
New York's not as bad though as like New England, right? You guys avoid.
No. I just have 5 inches or so.
Oh, that's nothing.
Nothing. Huh.
Our show today brought to you by our good friends at lynda.com. We're big fans, because we believe in learning. We believe in becoming more adept with your technology, and Lynda is the best place to invest in yourself and start learning right now. It's almost the end of February, short month. What are you waiting for? Invest in yourself, learn something new for 2015 with a free 10-day trial at lynda.com. Millions of people use Lynda all over the world. 4,500 courses now on topics like web development and photography, visual design. There's business skills like negotiation. Of course, how to use software like Excel, WordPress, Photoshop. In fact, they have the best. They have Burt Monroy's Photoshop things are the best in the world. Really, in fact, all of their teachers are great because they're experts in the subject and good teachers. And the production value on these is very high. These aren't, YouTube videos. They're really courses. They have transcriptions. You can search them to go right to the part of the course you want to learn. I've been using it for Lightroom. I'm always trying to get better at using Lightroom and Photoshop. They're great for that. But they're also things like improving your job skills or asking for a raise or making yourself more marketable. If it's a hobby, if it's a financial goal, if you just want to become better at your job, lynda.com is something for everyone. Listen to some of the new courses at lynda.com. Influencing others. I need a course in that. SEO fundamentals. Up and running with the Google Cloud platform. I love Justin Seeley's creative quick tips. Little short 5-minute tutorials that help you improve your creative skills in Photoshop, Illustrator, WordPress, and more. It's like a kick in the head. Just really like what they're doing at lynda.com, and I think you will too. That's why we got the free 10-day trial for you. The run of the place. You can see every course. Just go to lynda.com/twig. With your membership, you get unlimited access to every course, including access on iOS and Android devices. And there are new courses every week, so there's always something new at lynda.com. Lynda, lynda.com/twig. Free for 10 days. Go ahead and learn something new for 2015. It's nice to have a Lynda account because then anytime you want to know, oh, you know, I just got the new Logic 10. Just came out, new Logic Pro. What's new? They'll have a course on it right away. I mean, they're fast.
Our students swear by Lynda.
Do they?
Very important. Oh, yeah.
A lot of universities use Lynda, and it puzzles me because I guess it's just an adjunct to learning. You can learn at your own speed and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And specific tools and needs. And yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's great.
I got to do, they have lots of programming courses. I'm really, I really want to write this Android app. And I'm a little bit stuck, and I think Lynda will be the place to go. Hey, so yeah, last week, remember we talked and we called up that guy on the Google Help thing?
Yeah. Tell me he didn't get fired.
Douglas? No. I haven't heard from him. So you missed this, Lynn. It was kind of fun. If you go to the Play Store and you go into the devices section and then click Help, they have this new kind of help. It's a live chat. I won't do it right now, but you can. I'm sorry, a video call. I won't do it right now, but you can do it. And you get a guy or gal at Google. They're very googly looking, and they have a Google set and everything. And I thought it must be Helpouts. We even asked him, remember?
Yeah.
Is this Helpouts?
No, it's not. Oh, yeah, I was so amused. No, that's not Helpouts. No.
And then 2 days later, we find out Google's killing Helpouts. Whoops. God, I'm surprised. I thought this was such a great thing. I guess nobody used it. Helpouts was a form of Hangout.
I don't think Google did a little bit of advertising, but I don't think it ever gave it the level of support it needed to launch something new. It thinks, oh, we're Google, we'll come out with it, people will run to it. It disappeared from public consciousness, and it requires helpers and helpees to make it work. And it never got to critical mass because I don't think I think it was an orphan child.
God, it was such a good idea.
It was a great idea, and it remains a great idea. And, you start something like that and then just dump it. It's one matter to put out a beta and say, what do you think about this? But you launch a product. I think a lot of companies, including Google, are too cavalier about killing things that they start that some people are depending upon.
Well, I mean, doesn't it really depend on how high the adoption is? I mean, but with Google, I guess that doesn't matter because they had high adoption rates for Google Reader. And they still,
yeah, we were all peeved about that.
Poor Gina's Wave.
Right. Wave, right. I mean,
at the scale Google's at, high adoption, what does that mean? Millions, right?
Yeah.
If you were a startup and you had Hangout or Helpouts and you had, 100,000 people using it, you'd be pretty happy.
Of course.
And I got to feel bad for the people who, like Mitchell Dillman, who's teaching sheet metal art for beginners on a Google Helpout. And his first Helpout's free. He charges $5 for a 15-minute. So this guy's giving classes. And that's that. And come April 20th, that's it. You got to find some other way of doing this.
No more sheet metal art.
Breastfeeding help. Here's a psychotherapist. I think there were quite a few people.
There were quite a few, I think.
Doing psychotherapy. Coaching, counseling, therapy session. Arizona Healthcare. Pet wellness information. Anxiety management. A lot of breastfeeding help.
It ain't easy, Leo. Try it.
No. Latching on. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
Yoga. Wait, there's actually, I think the #1 category is breastfeeding help. There's a lot of sports nutrition. There's a lot of therapy. I feel like somebody who is either too shy, can't afford psychotherapy, but wants to try it out. This is such a great platform for that.
It is.
Couldn't it just be an altruistic?
It's basically it's Hangouts with money,
right?
And the uses could be amazing. It could be a journalistic help. Yeah, I was very sad about this.
Cooking. There's a lot of cooking.
Admit, I'd forgotten that it existed.
Well, that's the problem. When we talked about it, we were real excited about it. Then did I ever use it? No.
No. Well, because, Leo, you know everything. You don't need to.
Well, I could have probably learned a few things. JavaScript tutoring. Excel spreadsheet customization. I bet you Henry could have taken courses in Logic Pro here, for instance. Yeah. Digital audio recording and editing. I mostly just feel bad for the people who threw themselves into it and really took the time to do it. And I bet you people got cameras and mics and, spent some energy making this work. And I think there is a risk if you kill things too brusquely and abruptly, because then people are less likely to adopt the next thing you Google.
Yes.
Maybe there be, killing Reader, I think, was a real. I understand they're a business and they can't maintain something they don't make money on. Damn it. Now we have to watch a cat video because I'm just depressed again.
But this is worth it, Leo.
Here's a cat in the snow. Okay, she's opened her door and apparently... Whoa!
Oh.
All right, for those of you listening, you understand the vast majority of people who consume the show aren't seeing this, so I'll describe it. Obviously, somewhere in probably Syracuse, she opens her door, and halfway up the door is just a wall of snow. She's putting a little dish for her cat to have some food, and the cat just bursts through into the cat knows how to get in. Excuse me, there's some snow in the way. Out of the way, snow! Boom. Okay, that's a good cat.
I love this.
That's a good cat.
That's a great
cat gif. GIF or GIF. So, Lynn, this is what we do.
Damn it. GIF. Lynn, important
cat
testing.
GIFs?
Cat GIFs.
Oh, GIF. No, Lynn. No. It's GIF. It's GIF.
You call it whatever you want.
Oh, jeez. Losing the war.
Boom. All right. We've repeated this enough. Actually, the chat room came up with a bunch of cat GIFs. GIFs.
What did they?
Yeah, of course they did. Let's see here. Snow cat attack. Is this the same one? Yeah, this is the same one. Great minds think alike. What else? Sparrow. Here's another something that's going away. I really liked Sparrow. It was a Mac and iOS app that was a really good email app. Google bought them. And we knew, I think, the end was near. They kept it going for a while. The folks who developed Sparrow, a French startup, said they would continue to support Sparrow users, but they weren't making a lot of improvements on it. It was again, I only feel bad for people who bought it. It was $2.99 on iOS. It was $10 on Mac. There was a free app, Sparrow Lite, but it's been incorporated. And I think some of this must be in the Inbox app, the Google Inbox app, which I really like.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, this Sparrow sunsetting comes as no surprise.
Right.
I mean, we all expected once they bought them that they were going to just, use their developers to learn new things, right?
Product designer Jean-Marc Denis went to work on Inbox. So I imagine much of this was an acquire. Yep. And the app is gone, but the people live on, making Inbox better. Doesn't feel like. Do you use Inbox, Lynn?
I have used it.
I love it.
Well, I just felt like for me, it took a lot of adjustments to get it to work right.
Most people I know feel the same way, but I just really liked it, and I just feel like they haven't done a lot of new things in it. And see, this is what happens when you kill things. I'm worried now.
They're going to kill this.
They're going to kill this. They go, oh,
at least you won't. If they did, just for,
I still use Gmail.
You don't lose. You just Gmail.
Right. I just lose.
You lose a nice addition. Whereas with Reader and Helpouts,
that's a good point.
You lose the underlying functionality.
That's right.
Right. And what will happen with Gmail probably is they'll put some of the functionality into Gmail.
Right.
Well, as Gina has pointed out on their show, poor Gina, may Wave rest in peace. For her,
she wrote a book on it. The poor woman. Jeez.
A hell of a lot of the Wave's thinking is now elsewhere in Google and has value.
Right. And that's the same with, I mean, I edited a book on Google Voice, and though Voice still exists, it's really part of Hangouts now, right?
But you know what? The Dummy's Guide to Google Voice was a good book.
That's the one I edited. It
was a good book, and it needed to be written because Google Voice is one of those really great things that are of, I think, huge value to normal people, but a little intimidating. So, and Google doesn't document stuff very well. So I think that was a book that was well worth it. And anybody who invested in Google Voice isn't losing anything. I still use Google Voice nonstop. You just migrate some of the features to Hangouts eventually, maybe all of it. No, I don't. That's an example of something. If they killed voice, I think we would storm the gates of Mountain View. Unless they put everything into Hangouts. So what is this? Obama defends Google against Eurotechnopanic. This must be, I detect a Jeff Jarvis's fingerprints all over this.
There you go. In his interview with Recode, and by the way, I saw some great tweets that said the greatest branding exercise you can imagine is getting the President of the United States in your red chair.
In the red chair. I noticed they did that, didn't they?
Yeah. He defended Google against companies in Europe that are going after Google, et al. And company, because they're competitors.
Yeah.
And a little defense of American technology, yeah.
In defense of Google and Facebook, said the president, sometimes the European response here is more commercially driven than anything else. I don't know if that's fair.
I think it's very fair in certain cases. Get ready for it, folks. Leistungsschutzrecht.
That's commercial. You're right.
Is entirely commercial. It's publishers saying, protect us.
But not the right to be forgotten. That's not a commercial. He made a good point.
The attitude that leads to the right to be forgotten and leads to killing Street View in Germany, and those have commercial roots.
You're saying it's anti-corporate.
Yeah.
He said there are some countries like Germany, given its history with the Stasi, the East German secret police, that are very sensitive to these issues. That's nice. That's fair. But sometimes their vendors, their service providers who can't compete with ours are essentially trying to set up some roadblocks for our companies to operate effectively there. We have owned the internet, said the president. Our companies have created it, expanded it, perfected it in ways they can't compete. That's red-blooded Americana.
Yeah, but But the problem is that's a red, not a red chair, but a red cape in front of Europe. We have owned the internet and Russia, and China, and Iran.
Yeah,
all of them who say America has too much to do with the internet. Well, yeah, because we did it, but you might not want to put it that way.
When it came to privacy, President Obama said, "I think you own your data. I think I own my data. I think.
No, you own all of our data, Mr. President.
I think we own our healthcare data. We own our financial data." I think this is an area where, ironically, sometimes I also have tensions with Silicon Valley. Folks are quite keen on talking about government intrusion, but some of the commercial models people have set up are fairly intrusive as well. There's a big difference. We've talked about this before. The president has tanks. Google does not.
Yes.
You can be arrested by the federal government for the things they think they know about you. Google's not going to arrest you. The worst they're going to do is sell your name, and you're going to get diaper commercials. Part of the answer here is people knowing ahead of time what's going on. I agree with them there. People knowing how their data is going to be used, much greater transparency in terms of the potential of it, migrating over to some sales and marketing scheme of somebody else's. The more this is all off the cuff, so I have to respect that off the cuff. This is good. It shows an understanding. The more transparent we are, the more customers can make a choice. He also said everybody has to learn to code. If Gina were here, she'd be going, yeah. I'm not sure I agree with this.
Lynn, how much of a coder are you?
I'm an old school coder. I mean, I was coding Fortran on punch cards.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
When you were 4?
Yeah, Grandma. Jesus.
What?
I don't want to say how old I was or am, but
by the light of the fireplace. Jeez.
Yeah.
Fortran punch cards.
Fortran punch cards.
Punch
wow,
cards.
that's serious. That's
Pascal, Unix.
Yeah, Pascal I can dig. Unix I can dig, but Fortran on punch cards?
Yeah.
It sounds like that's a long time ago.
That was just a particular program that really wanted you to learn it.
I see. Yes, yeah, it's like the photography courses now in high schools where they say you really need to learn how to use film in a darkroom.
Yeah.
And I want to say, you don't. No, you don't. You need how to learn how to drive a buggy before you can buy your first car. No, you don't. I think we can safely leave those technologies behind now.
Let me ask you a question, both of you. So son Jake is a computer science major, and
He should learn Lisp.
Well, what should you learn still, and what should you not bother learning anymore in languages?
I think that's very hard, don't you? I mean, in fact, I'm on the board of our local high school over here, the school my kids went to, and we talk about this a lot. And I say, you shouldn't teach kids Microsoft Word. That's stupid. You shouldn't teach people how to use an operating system. That's stupid. You need to teach them at a lower level understanding of what's going on, so that, because I can guarantee you when they enter the marketplace, it's not going to look that way.
Right. I mean, no, you make a good point there, because, you know, when I learned how to use a computer that had any kind of Microsoft on it, I learned DOS commands, right? So
that's really held you in good stead, hasn't it?
No, I mean, but I can always default back to that when I'm troubleshooting a problem on a Windows machine.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
I still write DOS commands.
I learned CPM. I'll also have you know that I'm glad I don't ever have to worry about troubleshooting Jack on a Microsoft machine.
Yeah.
I don't get near him anymore.
Well, I mean, I use a Mac too, but I have people in my family that use.
Jeff still knows how to use pip. That's the CPM copy command, intuitively named pip.
I could probably pick up my WordStar keyboard commands in about minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
.ks or command control KS. I remember that. And the dot.
Jeff,
do you remember dot commands?
Jeff, do you remember teletext?
Hey,
I do. I do.
Watch it, Lynn. Watch it.
But I agree that we need to have kids learn STEM, and they need to learn things like, I think it's better to learn scientific method, for instance, and what that is, than to need. So his point, he says, what's true is that our lead will erode. Our lead in technology will erode if we don't make some good choices now. We've got to have our kids in math and science. Couldn't agree more. Can't just be a handful of kids. Got to be everybody. This is where I maybe disagree a little bit. Everybody's got to learn how to code early. I don't disagree in the sense that when you're teaching arithmetic, maybe you teach some Boolean logic. Didn't we do that with Turtle graphics and logo? For years.
But what does it mean to learn to? I mean,
well, that's the problem. I don't think teaching a fourth grader Perl or Python is going to be very valuable.
Here's the way we just hired somebody who's wonderful, who's trying to update our technology thinking here at our journalism school, named Zhu Yang, and I was talking about this just yesterday with Zhu, and the way she put it is she wants to demystify coding for the journalism students, and I like that a lot. And my response was, each journalism student probably has a different need where this can really pay off for their work, and they can say, oh, the scales fall off their eyes and they see the value of it. They see how far it can go. We're not going to turn out journalists as coders. That's a unicorn, I believe. There's a few of them, but not a big herd. But the idea of demystifying technology, the main skill you give, and Joy also argues this, is that you're obviously what you're teaching people is to look it up and learn it. We had another student in our program who has a company called Skill Crush to teach particularly women how to code, because her problem was that when she learned to code around men, in her view, it wasn't a welcoming atmosphere for what she was doing. And at the end of the day, as she said, what happened was every time she'd go to somebody and say, teach me how to do this, the person would end up looking it up online, and you quickly learn that what you do is you look it up online, and then you teach yourself, right? So what you're teaching people is how to teach themselves.
I agree.
That's really what it is. But you still haven't answered my question. If you were in a CS program now, what languages should you still learn?
I'm really old school. I'm really old school on this.
You are.
It's too late. It's too late for Jake because he's already. Yeah. Jake started by writing apps for Facebook, so he's already completely ruined with PhD.
Right, and I think it depends on need, right? Like at CS school, it depends on the specialty that you're going into.
Right, but you have a curriculum that teaches everybody, and you have requirements. So, again, I'll get off this quickly, but if you're a graduate of a program, let's say a CS program, what should the world expect you to know, and what should the world say, fine, yeah, don't bother?
I have a weird point of view on this, which I've expressed before, but I'll express briefly here. And it's no longer au courant in universities, but in a decade or more ago at MIT and Duke, They wrote a really good book that was part of Programming 101 at MIT and Duke for many years, no longer is. And the theory of it was that it was really programming for everybody, including liberal arts majors. The theory of it was that instead of learning how to control a computer, you should learn how to express a problem and solve a problem in a algorithmic way.
Yeah,
but this is useful for, in the same way, you know, people always say, why do you teach math? Well, yeah, you need arithmetic, but why do you need geometry? Why do you need to learn Boolean logic? Why do you need to learn trig or calculus? Because it's a rigorous, it's almost teaching you how to think in a certain kind of way. It's a rigorous discipline that helps you develop your mind in ways that will be useful in non-mathematical ways. And I think this is the same thing. So they wrote a book that is available online for free, and I still recommend. It was the oh, now I can't remember. Structure and Control of Computer Languages, SICP. You know what? I think I probably have it in my bookmarks here. Let me just look real quickly. Yeah, here it is. How to Design Computer Programs. This is copyright 2001 MIT. That's when they were still teaching this. But you can download, it's online at HTDP, howtodesignprograms.org. And it uses Lisp, actually a variant of Lisp called Scheme. And you could download the Dr. Scheme interpreter, and it has a teaching mode and so forth. And this is really aimed at, what they say in the introduction, which is great, is we really hate when kids learn programming in high school. Because they learn everything wrong, and now we have to reteach them. This isn't about learning computer programming. They say, we believe the study of program design deserves the same central role in general education as mathematics and English. Everyone should learn how to design programs. It teaches analytical skills like math, but unlike mathematics, working with programs is an active approach to learning. I think it's also really fun. But so they have a really interesting point of view here. MIT has abandoned this, as has Duke, in favor of a more career-oriented curriculum. I think there's pressure from students and parents. But wait a minute, you got to teach me a job skill. I don't want to learn this airy-fairy philosophy stuff. I want to know how to write a program in C, or C++, or C Sharp. And so they teach Java, they teach C Sharp, they teach C++. But really, the best programming, and you know, Eric Raymond has always said this, best programmers learned Lisp first because they learned how to express problems in a rigorous fashion and express the algorithm of solution independent of the machine. It's a mathematical language for. So anyway, if you ask me, tell Jake to go to htdp.org and start reading. Lynn?
That sounds good. I mean, I think it's more about the thinking.
It's thinking.
Than the actual language. Yeah. It's the thinking. Because like the point Jeff brought up before, because of the background I have, I can almost learn any language very easily, right? But one thing that's interesting that I just found, Google and New York City schools are going to teach 100,000 kids in after-school programs Google CS first.
Oh, Lord.
How's that going to help them in life?
Yeah. Are they going to learn Go? What are they going to learn?
I don't know. CS first.
CS first.
Will be offered to all kids enrolled in 857 after-school programs.
I do love the idea of computer literacy. I do love the idea of rigor and learning how to think and learning how computers work. And I mean, we do need this. He says Kara asked if President Obama had encouraged Sasha Malia, his daughters, to learn to code. He said, I think they got started a little bit late. Part of what you want to do is introduce coding with ABCs and colors. He also said, and I think the right kind of coding, yes. The way of thinking about stuff, yes. Not actually controlling a computer. I don't know how important that is. Particular attention, he said, needs to be paid in helping girls and other underrepresented groups in STEM, including African Americans and Latinos. I think that's true, right?
Yeah.
What's the problem with the U.S. tech industry when we see a litany of tech companies report workforce statistics that are routinely 70% white, 70% male? The president said, I think part of the problem is just generally our school systems aren't doing as good of a job on this, period, full stop. The risk of this, though, is then you get things like core curriculum, which I think is a mistake.
Yeah.
And then he says, and then part of what's happening is that we're not helping schools and teachers teach it in an interesting way. That may be okay. And he also says you need role models. And I agree. We were talking before the show about this with Lynne. I feel it's a big burden to get more women and people of color on our shows as role models so that kids who are watching can say, oh, yeah, I'm not a white man. I guess I shouldn't get into tech. That's not what you want.
Right. No. And you make a good point with that. I mean, I had no role model when I was in high school programming, basic on a Commodore 64.
But you did it. Why did you do it?
I was a math major.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so it was an elective math course, and I liked, gaming enough at the time. So it kind of just followed suit.
But that's really unusual.
I don't know. I had also taken a data processing course. If you remember data processing with punch cards.
In high school? Really? Wow.
Yeah, in high school.
That's a good school. Or something.
Yeah.
Actually, getting kids young is important. I think about the story of Bill Gates, who got into computers at Lakeside High School in Seattle. Fancy private school, but they didn't have a computer there. And his mom had and other moms raised money through bake sales and stuff to buy a teletype connected to the time-sharing computer down the road. And that's where Bill and his buddies, including Paul Allen, went there and started banging on the teletype and writing programs. Gates had actually a company when he was a high school student. I think it was called Trafo Data. He wrote, those rubber hoses they put across the road and the car goes thump, thump, and they count how many cars go down a road? He wrote software that would analyze that.
Oh.
That was his first business. Am I making this up? When you get to a certain age, sometimes you think, oh, I hallucinated that. Trafo Data.
You think you're Brian Williams.
Yeah. I was looking right down the barrel of that. Trafo Data was a partnership between Bill Gates, Paul Allen, and Paul Gilbert to read the raw data from road rate traffic counters and create reports for traffic engineers. This was before Microsoft. They were still in high school high school students at the Lakeside School in Seattle. So I did not make that up. Either that or I edited this article on Wikipedia, which is also a possibility. All right, let us. We're all in agreement, and maybe you can disagree about what kids should learn, but I think we're all in agreement that that should be part of. I think it's as much as math should be part of the curriculum. Some sort of logic and I don't know. And yet there's people like you, Lynne, who, despite all odds, just fell in love with it, and you were bold enough, uncowed enough. And that's really the problem, is that so many people get cowed. You were uncowed enough to say, I don't care if, I'm the only girl doing this. I'm going to do it.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know anyone else like me doing it,
right.
I guess I could say, at the time,
But you didn't let some guy or some math teacher tell you, oh, no, you shouldn't get into this.
No, actually, I was encouraged.
Oh, that's nice.
It's encouraged.
See, there you go. That's what we need. I was talking a couple of weeks ago. We had a visitor, young woman who is a student at Cal. She's graduating this year. She starts at Google in the fall, data analysis. And I said, that's so great. Tell me about how you got into math. She said, well, I wasn't because I got encouragement. She said, my math teacher, who was a woman, said, oh, no, math is too hard for you. You shouldn't be doing math.
Wow.
Isn't that terrible?
It's terrible. I mean, what happened to me really was, the reason I became a math major is because I took algebra before I even went to high school. And when I got to high school, the math teacher I had there said, how about you be a math peer tutor for me?
Great.
So I think that's what started me loving math in that kind of way,
My daughter's facing this. She's 23. She's a sophomore in college. Right now, she's really has a hard time with math. She blames me because I did not force her to learn her multiplication tables when she was 9. I tried. But we did a lot of software.
Hard enough.
Yeah, maybe not. We did Aladdin Math Adventure. I mean, we did stuff. But I think most of it was she was I think she's super smart, and she wants a science career, right? So she needs math.
Right.
But I feel so happy. She's found a professor who is, it was a woman, who says, oh, no, you should be at a higher level in math, and I'm going to do a tutorial with you, and we're going to do 2 years of math in one semester because you are smart enough to do this. This isn't hard, and I'm going to help you get over this block you have. And I'm so grateful to that professor. We need more people like that.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, math block can be like writer's block.
It's exactly
it really
like that.
Can be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly like that. I did teach her how to play the ponies, though, so that's good. I'm just kidding. That actually wouldn't be a bad skill. I mean, I'm just saying.
Online poker, Leo.
Online poker, that's the one.
So, yeah, gambling, you teach the odds, right?
Yeah.
How to bet against the odds.
Actually,
right,
that's a good way to learn math.
It's math, yeah.
So we were speculating what Mattel was going to announce. They had an event with Google, and the speculation was correct. It is cardboard. They're going to do a ViewMaster based on the Google Cardboard. Here's a USA Today interview.
Is there a demo of it?
Let me see if I can skip ahead and find it.
Yeah, there's a demo. I saw a demo earlier today.
I love that idea. So there's what it looks like. It looks just like it's
Oculus
big.
Rift, take that.
Yeah,
Jeez,
it's
how
big.
much, like $29 or something?
It's a rebranded ViewMaster. Look, and it looks like they even have the discs with the pictures, but you can see there's no pictures in there. Must be RFID or something. You presumably you have to slide a smartphone in there. We'll see. I want to see it.
Yeah, I want one.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Surely this is what they'll give away at I.O.
They gave away Google Cardboard at I.O. That was the best thing ever. Better than a Pixel.
Cardboard, daughter of cardboard.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this is a good video because it's.
So how does it work? Do you put the phone in or not? Or is it
the phone slots into the top.
It has to, right?
Yeah, no, the phone slots into the top. The discs that you have there, it isn't, it's obviously not film. Basically what it does is, I believe through NFC, it's like you tap it to the ViewMaster.
NFC, yeah.
And it transfers the...
Yeah, that's how cardboard was designed.
It just loads it.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
But the discs, I think, are something like $14 or $15 each. The VR... the actual ViewMaster unit is like
$29.99 of the new viewer.
There we go.
Which will include a sample reel and then $15 for the discs. But he's showing cardboard. This is cardboard right now.
He's showing cardboard, right?
Yeah, but next
showing
to
the old and then the new, I suppose.
Yeah.
Hold on to your cardboard, kids. That's going to be worth something someday. I remember cardboard.
Well, unfortunately, my cardboard won't fit my Nexus 6.
Yeah,
that's what I don't know about ViewMaster.
This thing better fit the Nexus 6.
Yeah.
Why do you? I still don't understand why you need you don't really need the disc. You can just.
You need something to trigger it. You could do it in
Play it.
software, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, remember with cardboard, you can use that little slider and you can choose from a menu of things and then go through experiences.
What I'm saying is you can buy the program on Play and not have to buy a physical cardboard thing just for the NFC.
Not if
right?
Mattel has anything to do with it.
Right, because how would you make it work in the ViewMaster? You have to have those.
Mattel wants you to buy the discs.
Right.
I gotta find a demo. This is terrible. There's just some guy sitting here. Let's see. ViewMaster.
The other one is a press release. I don't know if they had a demo there or not.
Demo. Let's see. Let's see if Google can help us. Here's a demo of the upgraded ViewMaster. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to talk to you, Google. I'm not talking to you. Go away. Gosh darn it. I hate it when that happens.
It's too good.
Here's it. Oh, and now I've lost my page.
Here,
All
I think I've got one.
I found one on YouTube at the Toy Fair because this is where Mattel unveiled it. This is the Toy Insider. I guess they're going to sell cardboard too. They're going to sell cardboard as well.
They're just showing what cardboard was.
Why is everybody playing with cardboard? I want to see the.
It's true.
No, there's a cardboard ViewMaster.
Cards.
That's why it's so cheap.
Right.
What's the other thing we looked at?
Here.
What was that other thing that looked like,
Yeah, what's that?
What's that, man?
That is the ViewMaster. I mean,
this says.
I don't know.
I'm confused.
They're showing cardboard.
So confused.
We just want to see. Yeah, no, but every. Yeah,
Gadget's
no, you're
got
right.
cardboard too. Maybe they haven't finished the Google Mattel
Viewmaster branded, but Viewmaster branded cardboard is pretty cool. I'll take that.
Not for $20, $25.
Yeah, this is definitely.
That's a ripoff, man.
Oh, so is it with cardboard?
Oh, here it is. Here it is. What's this? This is CNET. There's a picture. Looks like a robot. But then she's back to cardboard. Obviously, the plastic one wasn't
demos were on
working
cardboard,
yet.
is what the chat room's saying.
Dinosaur Adventure.
Is it that with cardboard you do it with the phone, and with the ViewMaster you do it with the disc?
I guess.
Well, no, but the ViewMaster, you do insert the phone into it. Right. It's like the top pops up, you throw the phone in there, drop it in.
Fall 2015. Oh, I'll buy one.
Okay.
Oh, of course you will. You buy everything, Leo.
Well, that's not really saying much, is it? I'll buy anything. All right, let's take a break. We're going to come back with more. So glad to have Lynne D. Johnson with us today. Strategist. LynneDJohnson.com if you want to read more, Lynne. The D is lowercase.
Yep.
Can you fix that, Jason? You put an uppercase D. Is that like E.E. Cummings? Why is the D lowercase?
Put a whole uppercase Johnson there, too.
Yeah, we do that. We always make your Johnson up.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Leo, you could have resisted.
I wasn't sure about that. What?
Set me up, Lynne. Set me up.
I'm under pressure here.
It's D, not E.
I know. Those keys are right next to each other.
While we're fixing Lynne's lower third, would you like it to be capital J and the rest lowercase on the Johnson? Or?
Oh, it's fine. I didn't know.
We do it French style.
I know.
I don't know why. We started doing that in the very beginning, and I still do it. It's just, see my name?
I see now.
I don't know why we do that. It's French. The French do that.
This shows I didn't pay attention to it until you brought attention to the D.
Why should you? You know your name. You know who you are. Our show today brought to you by LD Products. This is good for the environment. So we all use printer ink, toner cartridges, inkjet ink. And most of us, sometimes because the companies make us, buy it from the company that sold us the printer. But you don't go to the car dealership to buy gas. Why should you go to the printer manufacturer to buy overpriced, and I mean overpriced, ink and toner? LD Products offers a quality alternative at a fraction of the cost, as much as 75% less than the OEM cartridge. We're going to make it even a better deal for you. They've been in business for 15 years. They're BizRate customer certified. They're a Google trusted store. They do 1 million orders a year, so this is not some small guy. And these are remanufactured cartridges. So this is great. You're keeping oil, plastics, waste out of our landfill. You get a great cartridge at a really great price, and all their products are risk-free with a 2-year, 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. Basically, you can return a product for any reason, no questions asked. If you're not sure what kind of ink or toner, don't worry. You can talk to a real person 7 days a week, and it's not a real person who doesn't actually work for the company but is somewhere else. It's actually from their Platinum LEED certified building in Long Beach. Yeah, even their building is environmentally friendly. 110,000 square foot. Platinum LEED, that's as good as you can get for environmental certification. That's really, really cool. LD Products. They have your printer needs covered. Remanufactured, compatible brand name products. They also sell OEM cartridges if you want to get to know, LD. But we've saved so much by buying these remanufactured cartridges. And there's no risk. Like I said, 2-year, 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. We're getting all our toner and all our inkjet cartridges now from LD Products. Remanufactured, compatible brand name products, 10% off just for you on your ink and toner, plus free shipping, excluding OEM cartridges, when you go to ldproducts.com/twit. ldproducts.com/twit and enter the offer code TWIT. I can tell you right now, I was skeptical, I'll be honest, and I tried them, and I've been very happy. Now we use it company-wide, and I use it at home too. ldproducts.com/twit. They get you on the ink. Thousands of dollars a gallon. It's the most expensive fluid known to man. It really is. So save some money. Use LD. So I guess Google not only having trouble in Europe, now Russia. Yandex. This one's commercial, clearly, right? Yandex asks Russian antitrust authorities to probe Google over bundling Android with Google services. Yandex is, guess what? The Google of Russia. Should Google be afeared?
No.
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 Everybody should be afeared of Russia, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Yandex is not, we've talked about this before. So there are two ways you can have an Android handset. One is just pure open source, but you get no Google services. But your customers, I think if you're making an Android phone, want Google Play Store, Google Maps, Google Voice, all of the nice Google stuff, the Googly stuff. And for that, you have to get it certified by Google, and I imagine pay them a little bit. And those are proprietary. Those are non-open source. Those apps and services. If you want to put Google Play Store on your device, you have to install the entire suite of Google services, GMS services. And Google, by the way, also has to be a default search on your browser. Yandex also complains that in addition to that, and this is news to me, device manufacturers are increasingly prohibited from installing any services from Google competitors on their devices. That's kind of interesting. It makes me wonder about this rumor. Samsung, and we'll see the Galaxy S6 probably at Mobile World Congress.
How long off is that now?
Oh, it's March 5th, right?
March 5th, okay.
Yeah, Mike Elgin's going. We're sending a team out there because I think this is increasingly the most interesting conference because this is where all the new phones and tablets get announced. The rumor, and I think this might be a good rumor because it makes a lot of sense. It seems plausible to me, is that the Galaxy S6 will not have Samsung apps. They'll still have to have Google apps like the Google Play Store, but will not have Samsung apps, but instead Microsoft apps.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I think is very intriguing.
It won't have Samsung apps, but will have Microsoft apps?
Yeah.
In Android?
Yeah. So it'll still have the Google Play Store and Google services, I think, I'm guessing. Because customers do want that, but who wants Samsung's crap?
Bloatware.
Right?
Bloatware.
Bloatware.
Bloatware. Right?
S-Health, S-Voice. The one, by the way, I carry a Note 4 because finally, and I did not want an S5 because I want Google Voice, Google Dictation. I don't want Samsung's S-Voice, which is based on Nuance, and I don't like it. And it was very hard to make it just go away on older versions. On the Note 4, I never see S-Voice. Samsung's listening. In fact, according to this rumor, you could still get the S-Voice if you want in the Galaxy Apps Store. Chip in, by the way, Jason, if you have anything to add on this, because this is really all about Android's beat. But they are, instead of installing the Samsung Calendar, the Samsung Browser, the Samsung Contacts, all of the Samsung bloatware, they're going to put Microsoft.
Instead of Google Calendar, Google Mail,
no,
Google
I think they still have to put all the googly stuff on there.
I see.
I think it would be suicide.
So this is aiming at business people?
So right now, when I get a Note 4, I have two calendars. I have the Google Calendar, or I can download it if it's not on here, and I have the Samsung Calendar. I have two stores. I have the Samsung Store. I have the Google Store. I have two music players. I have, it's because, and this is true of most skinned Android devices, right? They have HTC's version of all those apps in addition to the Google versions. So what they're saying, and by the way, and when I pull out my pen on my Note 4, a Samsung note-taking app launches, not Google Keep. What they're saying is OneNote, Microsoft OneNote will launch instead. Office Mobile, Skype, and maybe they say a free Office 365 subscription. This makes sense given the way Microsoft's very aggressively pushing Office onto tablets and mobile. I'm very intrigued.
I think it's an interesting switch if it does happen, only because for the past 3-4 years we've gotten very used to kind of putting Samsung in a similar category as Apple, in the sense that Samsung really wants to provide its services front and center, and it wants that to be the thing that its users use. Of course, You know, we probably talked on this show and a lot of other shows on the network that not everybody's using those apps and services on Samsung devices, even though they're shipped with.
Right.
But this would if this happens, it's almost an admission by Samsung that isn't working in a sense, because it's basically them saying, all right, cool, we tried it, it's not working here, let's let Microsoft in. And I don't think you're going to see this release without Google's apps and services. I think that would be
you
suicide.
have to, because then if they put they want to put the Play Store on there, right? I mean, I wouldn't buy it without that.
No.
Because I was getting ready to say, why not just go stock Android? Like
Android has all right. Like
why Microsoft? Why?
I think I think Jeff was right.
For business.
I think it would appeal to. I mean, they've admitted that their own stuff is crap. It doesn't need to be, but it is. They're trying to upgrade the hardware a lot and do creative new things in the phone. Okay, that's a good way. And then they're going to try to appeal to a business customer base. And I wonder what the business how many expense account bought phones now are iPhone versus Android versus BlackBerry,
Right.
Versus Nokia, Microsoft.
There's another reason, by the way. And Mary Jo Foley came up with this on Windows Weekly, and I think she's accurate. Samsung and Microsoft was suing Samsung, saying, because Samsung pays Microsoft. Oh, this is really bizarre. Microsoft has always asserted that it has patents on the Linux operating system that it actually owns, and has been indemnifying Linux companies, saying, okay, we won't sue you if you pay us some money. Of course, Linux is the root operating system for Android. In 2011, Samsung agreed to cross-license Android from Microsoft, and according to some court documents that were released, Samsung has paid Microsoft $1 billion a year ever since for Android. For Android, Microsoft.
To Microsoft.
To Microsoft. In fact, we've known for a long time that Microsoft makes a lot of money on Android. People have estimated as much as $5 an Android handset. But all of a sudden,
Last week,
they buried the hatchet. We don't know the details of the agreement.
Okay, that all fits together nicely, yes.
So
Makes a lot more sense now. Makes a lot more sense, yeah.
I think that's fascinating.
if that's the case, it's still very interesting that would be kind of the straw that breaks Samsung's back as far as their services are concerned. It's not like you can't get them. It's not like interested people can't install them. But if all along Samsung's been relying on the fact that, well, if it ships on the device, then people are more likely to use it, a lot of the people are never going to install it because they never have used it.
Well, and then Samsung said, or this rumor, I should say, says that Samsung would still put the Samsung App Store on its devices. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
Right.
And that in the App Store, you could get S Health, S Voice, all the other Samsung apps. So it's really the best of all worlds. So what happened is that when Microsoft bought Nokia, Samsung went back and said, hey, that invalidates our cross-licensing agreements, and we're going to stop paying you. And so Microsoft sued Samsung, saying you owe us something like $333 million in outstanding license fees. But that all got dropped last week. So now I think it all makes sense.
And some apps got added. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe Samsung will, I don't know how it's going to work. We'll pay Microsoft for the apps. I'm not sure, but nobody's saying, but I don't think it's a bad thing. As somebody who uses Samsung phones, I've always hated TouchWiz. I've always hated Samsung bloatware. A lot of us have bought Google Play Edition versions of Samsung devices. I would not use an S5 for that reason. I like the Note 4 because Samsung's really downplayed the TouchWiz on it, and I think.
Jason, how big is the S6 supposed to be? Screen?
I don't know. Do you know? What's the rumor?
That's a really good question. I don't know what the rumor is pointing at. I feel like I saw something that even said it might be going in the reverse direction.
I don't think it'll be
size-wise.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Note-sized.
I don't really know. Yeah, no.
They're saying some of the rumors are 5 inches.
Right, exactly. Kind of going backwards.
I think that's gonna feel dinky to me now.
Well, but then they have the Note, which is 5.7 inches. The Note 4 is actually a great phone.
Is it?
I just saw.
What do you think about the rounded screen?
The Edge.
I don't have the Edge. Yeah, I reviewed the Edge. I was underwhelmed. It's weird to hold. The Edge has.
Then what do you care? What do you holster?
I have a Nexus 5 and I have a Note 3.
Oh, my.
And you like the big Note 3 screen or no?
I do. I love it. And I use the the pen, right?
Yeah, do you use that?
Yeah.
You use it. I would like to have that.
I use it in Evernote a lot.
Right. Yeah, well, so that's what's cool about that is the stylus, which I don't ever use, but I just like a big screen, and it's the best. It's easily the best screen out there. It's also a really good camera. So get this. This was an article from phonearena.com. They've been doing a lot of camera phone comparisons, but this is a wild one. They took the Galaxy Note 4, an iPhone 6 Plus, and a Canon EOS 650D, a DSLR. Shot the same scene 3 times, did a blind testing, and guess who won? The camera phones.
Wow.
There's a couple of theories why. One is that the iPhone does do some oversaturating of colors. If you look at this tiger's nose, the left-hand one is probably the most accurate. It's certainly the crispest. It's from the Canon. The iPhone 6, though, looks more vivid, right? The colors are more saturated. And the Galaxy Note 4, as all the Galaxy phones, over-sharpen. So everything's very crisp. And I think the companies, both Samsung and Apple, realize that these are more appealing to the naked eye than the more accurate EOS picture. We can look at it a little bit more.
Because the iPhone 6 looks like HD, right?
Yeah, because it's so colorful. Is it more accurate? No. But people aren't looking for accuracy. In every respect, if you look for accuracy, like at this image, the DSLR is much more accurate. But the brighter colors of the iPhone and the crisper edges of the Note 4 seem to appeal to people. Anyway, they did. I mean, it's a blind test. It's pretty amazing. Phonearena.com if you want to see those results. This is a good example, actually. And they don't tell you which is which. Which one do you like the best of this Russian building? D, E, or F? I think F must be the DSLR, but I don't know.
But I like D.
I'm like a D.
That's definitely a Note 4. I can tell. I can tell. And this would be the iPhone because of the color renditions. But let's see. Do they tell you? It's a blind comparison. They don't.
You'll never know.
You'll never know.
I have to tell you.
Hey, they do somewhere. Yeah. There's the actual picture. That's got to be the This is the high resolution DSLR version. That's got to be an iPhone. I don't know. It's fun. But just shows you what you may think. According to the article, the Galaxy Note 4 dominated the comparison, beating both other cameras. I like the Note 4 camera. I do. And you can see the poll results. And they got 16,000 votes on this. In this one, seeing the tiger nose, the Note 4 actually did not do well. The iPhone 6 Plus won. That's because of color, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Note 4 in comparison looks pretty flat.
So, I got it wrong. The middle one of the building was the DSLR. The Note 4 was the one I thought was the DSLR. See how much crisper that is? The iPhone 6 Plus. And of this one, the Note 4 won handily. Not even close. By the way, 2% of 15,791 votes picked a DSLR image as the best.
Wow.
Only 2%.
Wow.
This is fun.
But that just shows that more people are getting used to doing photography with their phones.
Yeah, and they like it better. This one, the Note 4,
maybe our
was
eyes
the
are
one on the
being
right.
trained because we're so used to.
I was
using
so
phones,
wrong.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like kind of like MP3s, right?
Yes.
Lower quality MP3s, but yet over time our ears get used to it and
Get used to it, right?
Yeah. I hate the modern world. Okay, let's see. I think we're running out of time, so why don't we take a break here? Just look quickly through. Pebble now supports Android Wear notifications. That's nice. That's good for Pebble. LG is doing an all-metal Android Wear watch. Project Ara has a new camera module from Toshiba, a 5-megapixel and a 13-megapixel. This is the modular smartphone that will only be available in Puerto Rico, I'm sorry, at least initially. At first.
Aura is more and more, it's fascinating me, just from the fact that we're starting to see hardware manufacturers publish or kind of talk a little bit about the modules that can plug into it. There's one company that we talked about on All About Android a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember the name of the company. They're currently working on 100 modules.
Yeah.
For Aura.
Yeah, I remember reading that. Yeah.
Sennheiser has a bunch of like high fidelity audio components to plug into it. It's becoming less of like a modular phone and more just a modular device.
Or an upgradable device.
What do you want it to do?
An upgradable device, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's fascinating that you can create an accessory that's not an accessory. It's built in.
I thought this was really a wonky idea because I thought, well, the phone's going to be rattly.
You might be eating a crow leg here. We'll see.
What do you call it?
A crow leg.
Crow leg?
Crow.
I'm a
Not
crow.
the whole crow, just a crow drumstick.
What does that mean?
You're eating crow.
I'm eating crow?
Oh.
I'm going to have to eat a crow?
Not yet. I'm not saying you're eating crow yet because it could be dorky, but I don't know. I'm not sure I'm ready to totally dismiss Aura. I don't know. I mean, mind you, this is somebody you know what I really want? You know what I want?
What? What do you want? What do you really want?
I want Google to just refund the money for every schnook who bought glass.
I want my money back. Nope.
Well, you do?
Did I say that?
You do?
Oh, you too?
You do? Because Lynn's a glass hole. You want your money back?
No. I just don't like the fact that, now that they're finished with the Explorers version, it's like it almost feels like
it's over.
It feels kind of similar to the Helpouts thing, right? It's like we were talking about earlier. A bunch of people, spend their time creating their livelihood around something. Like when glass, and many people will correct you and say glass isn't ending. It's just going in a different direction. We're probably not going to see the fruits of that direction for another couple of years. So in some senses, it is kind of ending. But a lot of people poured their time for a year or two into development specifically for glass, thinking that they're in the beginnings of something that's going to turn into something great, and they're going to kind of ride the wave. And ultimately, what happened?
Could have charged.
We're done for now.
I think you're right, Jason. And Google chose. I saw some story. I think we talked about it in the show at one point. Google could have charged a lot less, but they kind of wanted to charge that much money to get the serious people. Google wasn't serious about it.
The serious suckers.
Right.
I was there at $2,200, but add in the frames, which I had to buy, which were then like a week later were free.
Lord.
And then add in the prescription expensive lenses that I have to have.
Lynn, you upgraded. You upgraded your glass, right?
Yeah, I upgraded. Yeah. I mean, what was better on the second version was the audio, definitely.
Right.
When was the last time you wore it, Lynn?
I'm not saying.
I bought glass, but Jason got glass. Have you worn it lately?
Well, I wore it the morning that we surprised Lucy with her trip to Disneyland.
See, there you go, and you got some good
birthday.
video, I bet, right?
Yes, but that's pretty much the only time I use glass.
You would have the same result.
This big thing is happening. I want to record it without holding a device in front of me, so I'll put this on. And
you could have made a hat with a GoPro embedded in it. It would have been the same.
Completely. Yeah. Maybe it looks a little bit less dorky than a hat with a GoPro.
No, it doesn't.
I don't know.
No, it
different.
doesn't.
Same, but different.
Thing. No, doesn't look less dorky.
What happened to me is I gave a lot of talks around having Google Glass, Life with Glass.
Oh, wow. You were like a spokesperson.
Yeah.
Hey, Lynn, I got to ask. So are any of those going to be embarrassing now? Like the future is glass. You have to have glass. Glass is going to change everything. Is that
I think there's some embarrassment there. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got some too. Lord knows I defended glass. Yeah, defend Google. Whoa. Generally works out, but boy, it didn't work in that case. I got a big schmuck on my eye.
But I did say I didn't think it was the future of wearables, though.
Yeah.
I think that wearables is going to have to be more seamless, right?
I agree.
Like these. My argument about this is that this is 2/3 of the functionality of glass. Instructions and alerts are here, and they didn't need to be here. What needs to be here is a camera, as Jason just said, and that needs to be rethought. I think there is an idea of an always ready capture what you see camera I think still has legs as long as it has a red light for privacy warning.
Yeah, I'd agree with
Yeah,
that.
that's true.
Breaking story just came in. Steve Kovac writing in the Business Insider. Samsung has officially acquired LoopPay. We'd heard this rumor for some time. It's another way to do touch and pay, although a little more flexible than Apple Pay. It will work through traditional magnetic credit card readers as well as touch-to-pay devices. The thinking is this might be a Galaxy S6 feature. You can swipe your phone. Is that right? Or you just put it near the swiper, I guess.
But all right, so I'm confused. That's proprietary. So somebody has to sign up for the LoopPay Samsung thing. No. It'll work with Apple Pay. It'll work with what?
It'll work. Well, this is the thing that it's interesting. First, you've always had touch to pay with any Android device with NFC and Google Wallet, right? Or if you used the carrier wallets like and
if the vendor had the right thing, which I hardly ever see.
Right. Go ahead. But well, no, you're wrong now because of Apple Pay.
So it's compatible with Apple Pay?
All the people who have Apple Pay also will allow you to use a Google Wallet. I don't know of anybody who has only Apple Pay.
I didn't even know that. I had no idea.
So you'll see an icon that looks like a fish dinner, like the bones of a fish dinner. That's the touch to pay icon. That's always next to the Apple Pay icon. You can do one, you can do the other. But what's interesting about LoopPay, it goes one step farther. Remember that card coin? The idea was you put all your credit cards into this device. It would generate a magnetic field that a Stripe reader would say, oh, I see you're using your Visa card. This does that as well. Now, in the past, the LoopPay has had a case that you'd have to put on your smartphone. You don't swipe it. You just have to put it next to the credit card reader. So in addition, so this in theory would add more payment methods to the Samsung Galaxy S6 than Apple Pay. So anywhere you could use Apple Pay, you could use the NFC Touch to pay using your Google Wallet or your soft card or whatever you've got for a wallet. But now you'll also be able to send a magnetic field that regular credit card readers
magnetic field.
That's
support. Interesting.
Yeah.
This is the icon you were talking about, right?
Yeah. Looks like a fish dinner. Not the thing on the left.
Right,
just the
right.
thing
Yeah,
on the right.
not the
phone.
But just this
Just
part.
a little fish dinner on the right there. I think this whole thing about, I mean, swiping's gone soon, I hope, one hopes. So I don't know how important this is, but it would give the S6 kind of a leg up. You could say everything the Apple Pay can do and more.
I think it does. I mean, people want frictionless payments, right? Yeah. Well, it gives a leg up. More options.
I feel like, though, if a store like, let's say Whole Foods, which has tap to pay, everybody's kind of used to it now. All the clerks by now have seen somebody do it. They're not freaking out. But a store that just has a swipe credit card, standard credit card reader, has never done touch to pay. You come in and say, well, let me just rub my phone against it. My dry cleaners are not going to go, oh, fine. They're going to think some sort of devilry is in play here.
And you're sure it's all card readers? It's not card readers activated with LoopPay?
According to Steve,
like
most standard magnetic card readers. Because what it does is it makes a field that looks like a stripe.
Stripe, okay.
So Samsung has agreed to acquire LoopPay. LoopPay's technology, this is the Samsung press release, has the potential to work in approximately 90% of existing point-of-sale terminals with no investment in new infrastructure. And merchants are buying it in the U.S. anyway because of federal mandates. So interesting, though. Okay, so that's just in. Breaking news. Samsung also has its own Exynos chip, a 14-nanometer, 64-bit, 8-core processor, which they don't use Exynos in the U.S. They usually opt for the Qualcomm Snapdragon because it adds U.S. Radio frequencies. But I've had Samsung phones with the Exynos. That's what they sell in the rest of the world. So
here's some more breaking news.
Yes.
Megan Smith announces the appointment of Dr. DJ Patil as Deputy Chief Technology Officer and for data policy and the first Chief Data Scientist of the United States. I'll put that
so Megan Smith is a U.S. CTO, was recently appointed, former Google executive, separated partner of Kara Swisher. In a reverse asterisk. And what is DJ Patil's?
It's
That's a familiar name.
An incredible career as a data scientist.
Yeah.
President of product at Relate IQ. Okay. Previously, positions at LinkedIn, Greylock, Skype, PayPal, eBay.
Wow.
He's part of that magnificent mafia.
He's part of the eBay mafia, my friends.
Yeah. Whoa.
First ever U.S. Chief Data Scientist and Deputy Chief Technology Officer for Data Policy, or SIGADAS. Nice. He wrote the Harvard Business Review article that said data scientist is the sexiest job of the 21st century. Okay, there you go. Breaking news. Good article.
You know what we need? We need one of those little old
This just
breaking
in,
news
and then
sounds.
somebody can hand me a piece of paper.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This just in.
A little ripping sound off the teletype. Yeah.
Got a tweet from Sina Kanafar, who has written a blog post. Sina noted that everybody in the tech media has celebrated the unlocking of phones, the carrier's voluntary unlocking agreement, and everybody kind of interpreted it as now you can get your phone unlocked from any of the carriers in the U.S. So Sina said,
not so.
Yeah. Sina said, not so fast. So Sprint and T-Mobile have failed to fulfill half of their own voluntary commitments. Verizon has the most lenient policy. They've almost entirely stopped.
Because most of their phones aren't useful elsewhere.
They've stopped locking their devices, mostly because the FCC required it. AT&T has met almost all of their unlocking requirements. T-Mobile, not so fast. T-Mobile's not doing apparently a very good job and doesn't even really know what you're talking about.
And see, this is interesting to me because years ago when I used to go overseas, I used to call up T-Mobile and say, hey, I need to use a foreign SIM in my phone, so can you unlock my phone? And they would do it.
Now, many people use unlocked phones with T-Mobile. I mean, that's one of the reasons I like T-Mobile. I just put a SIM in and I use it with my unlocked phones, like your Nexus 5 or my 6. But T-Mobile will, here's their policy, will unlock postpaid devices, but adds restrictions preventing customers from unlocking more than 2 devices per line of service in a 12-month period. They also require devices on their monthly plans to have been active for at least 40 days, even if the contract expires after a month under T-Mobile's uncarrier policies and all dues have been paid. Anyway, this is he's a technology fellow at the EFF. Thank you, Sina. And the article is at sina.is. Little report card on the unlocking. So don't leap to the conclusion that unlocking is here completely. Let's see what else. Real quickly running through the other headlines. We mentioned, we've been talking about Facebook and the memorializing of websites. Facebook now allows you, as Google does, to designate a digital heir, a legacy contact for your digital afterlife. Once you go, the person in charge can say to Facebook, okay, they're gone, freeze the account, memorialize the account. Google's been able to do this too, right? The inactive account manager, they call it.
A nice way to put it.
So now when you make your will, in addition to everything else you have to do, like handing over your Google password and your Facebook password, you need to designate a
So what do you want to
executor.
live after you?
I would be nice if they just deleted it all, right?
Really?
I don't want my Facebook page to live on.
Well, okay.
Well, maybe I do. I don't know.
Yeah, it is a little freaky when I see somebody leaves a comment or something and I see a dead person pop up in my feed.
Yeah.
I have a friend on Facebook who passed away, and the family, you know, like on the anniversary of his death, they update.
That's nice. I think that's sweet. It's like a gravestone in a way, right? It's just a memorial.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you, speaking of the Grim Reaper, I wanted to give you a chance. Jeff, you wrote a very nice piece on David Carr.
Oh, thank you.
Grim Reaper.
I didn't know him. You didn't know him either, it sounds like. I thought you for sure would know David Carr.
Oh, I certainly knew him, but I'm just saying there were people. I
People who
sat
knew
there,
him better.
Yeah, who knew him better. And so at one level, I said, I shouldn't write anything. I didn't know him that well. But then I also said to myself, that a tweet was or 1,000 tweets was insufficient, which by the way puts people on warning. When I go, I expect more than a tweet. Okay.
I will write you a nice eulogy, Jeff.
I want a little more than a tweet, okay?
We should do that agreement where if I go first, whoever goes first, the other guy will be there to carry the coffin.
Yeah, it used to be, having worked in newspapers for years, it used to be the only real fringe benefit of working for a newspaper is you got an obit in it. Now the newspapers are dying before I am.
It was a bit of a shock because I had read David Carr's really good piece about Brian Williams and Jon Stewart in the Times.
Yep.
And then the next day, actually shortly after I read that piece, he said he died in the newsroom that night.
Yeah, that night, the night he died, he had moderated a discussion with Glenn Greenwald, Laura Poitras, and Snowden, and then at 9 o'clock at night collapsed, and they said since that it was cancer. For those of you who don't know who David Carr was, he was an incredible character. He was media columnist for the New York Times. He was a crack addict from the old days who wrote a book called Night of the Gun about, he basically went back and fact-checked his own life. And the video you're about to play is him giving what for to Shane Smith.
This is from a documentary which is really good called Page One about the New York Times. Came out, about a year ago? And it turned out David became kind of one of the main voices of it. It's a very distinctive voice, by the way. Listen.
Yeah, unmute your audio.
It's muted. Shoot.
To young people. They're listening.
So he's talking to the editors of Vice who are pitching him on why Vice is going to be such a great news source. And he's typing away.
Are watching CNN right now.
David was such a great media analyst. He understood new media like no one else. He was a great voice for all of us in the Times.
Like where you go, that's really what they came looking for.
Let's skip ahead a little bit on this.
I pretend to, I'm not going there.
I'm looking at human shit on the beach.
I gotta tell you one thing. I'm a regular guy, and I go to
warning, there's a little profanity in this.
Everyone talked to me about cannibalism, right? Everyone talked about
Yes. And then drink.
I guess I should just leave people to watch this, but it's worth watching.
Yeah, and if you go to my blog post, the video below that is Shane Smith and talking about how they, at a CUNY event, and how they were actually buddies. And David Carr wrote a piece later kind of admitting that Vice was worth paying attention to. They were doing a lot with news. And so it's also an interesting video. It's a fun video.
Smith said, people like David Carr who speak their minds and tell the truth are few and far between. There should be more David Carrs there is today, unfortunately.
So David was amazing. He and I didn't agree about some things occasionally. In the movie, Page One, he used what would Google do as a prop for his laptop keyboard. Which I think might have been a message. I went to I didn't get to go to the funeral, but I went to the wake, and it was incredible, absolutely jammed. Carl Bernstein standing to my left, Brian Stelter in front of me, 3 editors of the New York Times there.
He was a champion of Stelter, right?
Very much so. A great line from Page One that he said, Brian Stelter was a robot built to destroy me.
And then he mentored him.
And he mentored him like crazy, and with great mutual respect, incredible. And Lena Dunham spoke at the wake. Wow. Tom Arnold spoke at the wake. They've been friends for more than 30 years. For the last 27 years, didn't drink or do other nasty things.
That's probably how they met, though. I would guess.
Yeah, they did in their time. But so it was. David was an incredible character, and the outpouring on Twitter that night that he died was unbelievable.
Yeah,
my lights are going out.
Yeah. By the way, that's not a metaphor or anything. His lights are actually going out.
So sorry.
You listening at home?
Get those tweets ready, people.
Jarvis's lights just went out. Did you know him at all, Lynn? Or
no, I didn't. Just read him.
Yeah, I read him religiously. Yeah, very sad because I had just read his wonderful piece in the Times. You know, I started subscribing to the paper version of the Times last week, and you know, it's mind-boggling. There's a lot of content every single day in that thing.
Why did you subscribe to the paper?
I just, you know, we had on our little vacation, Lisa and I got the Times every morning in the hotel room, and I remembered how much I love reading it. What I forgot is how long it takes.
Yeah. But you know, I tweeted that somebody from the Times, an editor from the Times, tweeted that who's doing the Latin American stuff for the Times, really interesting. Lynne Polgren, she tweeted that on the New Yorker, she has a subscription to the New Yorker, but she doesn't ever read the paper version. She reads it online. So I turned around and asked, and I said, well, same thing here. The thing is that we subscribe to the print New York Times because the deal is better than just subscribing to digital alone. But we don't read the print paper. Now, what this means from a business perspective is the Times is artificially holding up print for obvious reasons. Print subscribers are more valuable than digital subscribers. At some point, the advertisers are going to figure this out, that some large proportion of Times print subscribers only subscribe to it to get the better deal on digital.
I did for a long time. I just got the Sunday Times, and I would read, and I wouldn't read it. I would just read the digital stuff. But you don't get everything you get in the digital stuff, or you don't see as much as you do when you have the paper there.
I think the app, the Android app, is how I use it, and it's just great. And I wander through the Times, and I give the same serendipity. Lynn, what about you?
No, I used to get the weekend print. You know, now I do the Android app and sometimes mobile. But I feel like with print, the findability is easier. That's just my take on it.
And in particular, for me, international stuff.
Like I felt like I was reading more when I did get the print.
Yep. Mike Elgin also gets the print version of the Times, and he and I were talking. And he says, I don't think of it as a newspaper. I think of it as the first draft of history. It's online. I can't remember who said that. There's my cup of coffee in the New York Times from, I think, yesterday. But particularly for the news stories that I probably wouldn't read about Greek debt and things like that, I get, because it's there and in front of me, I know more about what's going on internationally than I would if I didn't have the print.
I have the Times, the new Android beta. Here.
Is that the paper duplicate, or is that?
No, this is just a beta.
They do have a version of the paper that's digital. That's the whole paper.
No, I hate that. But now what you do is that you just swipe from section to section. So you swipe and roll, and that way it's a lot easier to find the serendipity. By the way, speaking of swiping, have you played with? Did we talk about this in the show? Snapchat's Discover? No.
Swipe left. Yeah, I think we did talk about this because Nick Bilton was on a couple of weeks ago, and he just written an article for the Times.
He explained to you
showed me
why
how to use Snapchat.
Yeah,
and I think this is a brilliant monetization strategy for Snapchat. But you know what? I stopped using it. You know why? Because I want stuff to live on. If I'm going to put all the time and energy into making a video, I don't want it to go away in 24 hours.
So use stories.
But the stories go away, don't they?
So news is fish wrap, Leo.
No, I was doing stories, and I was doing, you know, like it is story, me making spaghetti and making spaghetti sauce and the whole thing. 24 hours, even, I think, Lynn, unless I'm really wrong, the stories are gone after 24 hours too.
Yeah.
Everything's gone. It's public. I made it public.
Right.
But I would rather use Instagram or there are other apps. Is it Storehouse? I love Storehouse, where you can take a story, publish it, and it's there forever. I'm not fish wrap.
Well, you may not be, but the stories that appear there aren't newsy. I think it's darn good.
I think it's really interesting what Katie Couric is doing with Yahoo News, for instance, where it's a whole newscast, and you swipe, you swipe, you swipe, and you're done. It makes more sense for me if I think about my son, for instance, who's 20, is really into Snapchat. All his friends are. That's their app. They use it to almost the exclusion of everything else. And I can see him looking at the ESPN property.
Right there, here are your top news stories in 60 seconds or less.
Yeah, it's just so weird.
Ceasefire? What ceasefire?
It's just so easy.
Ukrainian forces retreat from a hot.
Scroll up. Scroll next.
Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson tells me he entered in. The president holds a summit on.
It's very interesting, isn't it?
But some believe
it's just so fluid.
Should be replaced.
Boy, that's the opposite of the print version of the New York Times, though. I mean, talk about no substance.
Yeah, but but let's compare it to TV news.
Well, I don't watch TV news either. All right. No, I think it's very interesting, and I got very engaged in it after Nick showed me how to use it and create stories. Lynn, this is what you do for a living. Do you counsel brands and people and companies to use Snapchat?
Stories, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a great way to do a breaking story. right? Especially if you're a brand that caters to younger people.
Well, that's the thing. It's how you can reach 18 to 25-year-olds, basically.
Right.
It's the only way you can reach 18 to 25-year-olds. What
Right.
do you get if you do this, brand thing with Snapchat? Do you get numbers, engagement numbers or views?
We don't know yet. I mean, the thing that you need to do, that these companies, all of them need to do, is they do need to find ways that you have a business benefit in terms of not just
you can't
revenue, but
monetize
data.
Snapchat. It's only for discovery, right?
But you need to find, there needs to be some linkage to you in some way. There needs to be more discussion of that. But nonetheless, yeah, the idea of making everybody come to you and your website, outmoded.
Well, I know that. That's why we're redoing our whole web presence.
Just as I said, so I just said, yeah, websites are dead, and now you're spending $1 million on yours.
No, we're not, though. That's the whole point. We're spending
on the API.
On the API, on a public API, which the website is one consumer of, but not the only consumer of.
Right.
But I did tell our news division, I talked to Mike and Megan, I said, you really ought to think about doing a little Snapchat news.
Mm-hmm.
But what would we gain from that?
Discovery.
Discovery, yeah. I mean, that's what all of social media is about, right? It's about discovery, right? So
but how are they going to discover us?
Use the right types of tags, right?
Okay.
To be a part of certain discussions.
Okay.
That's how they discover you.
Tags. Okay.
Go do a deal with Discover.
Does Snapchat do tags? No. I don't know how. The only way I know to discover somebody on Snapchat is to pay a lot of money to be part of that Explore page.
You have to spend some money, just like Facebook early days. You had to spend money to be a really big brand on Facebook.
Yeah, Baratunde and Nick are both using Snapchat to do interesting things, but it makes me sad because whatever they do, however interesting it is, 24 hours from now, it's gone forever.
But that's why you have to create these things in more than one way.
Right.
Right. You have to.
Okay.
You have to tell a story on different platforms.
Right. Makes a lot of sense to me because you're going to reach a younger demographic that just doesn't watch TV or read the web or any of this stuff. They, YouTube maybe.
Oh, they all use messaging apps.
My kids, I'm telling you, they love Snapchat. They don't use anything else. I asked them to use Twitter. Well, we use it to talk to each other, to fool around, but we don't really use it. Facebook, are you kidding? That's where parents are. It's Snapchat.
Well, Snapchat, let's point out in the news, got ridiculed for turning down $3 billion from Facebook, and its latest round, rumored or announced, I'm not sure which today, it's $19 billion valuation.
They said they're going to raise $500 million that will give them a valuation of $19 billion. And you know what? That's less than WhatsApp. Right now, they're that valuable. I think they are right now. The problem is it's just right now.
It's about time. It's about time to cash that out, guys.
Yeah, it's like OMG Pop. Get it while you can. Wow, I ended up, I was going to close this thing out about an hour ago. Okay, let's...
yeah, we have one more ad.
Let's wrap it up, and then we'll get our tip of the week, your number of the week. Lynn, what we often do is ask our hosts if there's something cool or neat or unusual they'd like to share with us, a great web page or an app or something. So if you want to think about something like that, and I'll do the same. And meanwhile, I'll tell you a little bit about LegalZoom.com. We live in a nation of laws. I think that's a great thing. It's one of the things that really distinguishes us from other countries. But that sometimes means a bit of a burden if you are a business person. There's a lot of times when you need to do stuff that only a lawyer can do for you. Or is that the case? Well, no. LegalZoom. LegalZoom's not a law firm. What they do is so cool. They help you. They guide you to do the things, the legal work you need to do. And if you need an independent attorney, they can connect you with one at a pre-negotiated, very affordable rate. So LegalZoom is the way to get your life in shape, whether it's for your family with a will or a living trust, whether it's for your business with a trademark, a patent, incorporation. LegalZoom can do it for a lot less than those white shoe law firms, or actually for any, or even Saul. Better call Saul. Forget it. Call LegalZoom. Now, they won't defend you in court because they're not a law firm. But, you know, a lot of what this stuff is just simple paperwork that you can do yourself. It's how we incorporated Twit. And I wouldn't have been able to, you know, we're an LLC. We're still an LLC based on the paperwork I filed 10 years ago at LegalZoom.com. For more than 10 years, LegalZoom has helped millions of people like you, like me, get the personalized attention they need. If you do need legal advice or guidance, they can also connect you with an independent attorney in most states. Since they're not a law firm, they're better, in my opinion. I want you to try it. Go to LegalZoom.com. Look at all the stuff you can get done there. If you decide you want to take advantage of one of their services, use the offer code TWIG at checkout. You'll get $10 off as a thank you. Even something as simple as a pet will, a pet protection agreement, or a durable power of health, you know, a health, what do they call it? Health directive. You can do that all at LegalZoom. Don't put it off. LegalZoom.com. Use the offer code TWIG just to let them know you heard about it on Twig, and we'll give you a little bit off your order. LegalZoom, we thank you for that support on This Week in Google. Mr. Jeff Jarvis has a number.
The number is 300. 300 androids.
What?
300 androids.
What is it?
All singing in unison.
Shall we watch?
If you go to the second video, 40 seconds in, they start music.
Okay, an Android chorus. This is in Japan. Google's head of device marketing did this. Let's go about 40 seconds in and listen. Who is it that went real quickly to all of the Androids and pushed start?
I know. Vanna White, that's who.
How do they do that? That's so funny. I like the Android ad campaigns they've been doing lately, frankly.
I don't understand the animals as friends one at all, but it's cute.
I love it. And it's like be together,
to
but not the same. I like that. It celebrates diversity, but everybody should use a Google product, even if you even if you want to be diverse. Use a Google product. 300 the number of Android devices in this video. It feels like it's a small world after all. Is that my imagination?
A little creepy, but that's okay. I do love how the Android character is durable enough to cut across all these instances.
Well, you knew that, Jason Howell, when you used these for your All About Android logos and stuff.
Yeah.
That's Androidify. Androidify me?
It's called Androidify, yeah. And you can go in there and, you know, select from a ton of different hairstyles and wearing a watch or whatever.
Here's the chat room. Has given us, this is the new ad, which I really like. It's the high five.
Well, I haven't seen this one.
Actually, let me stop the 300 Android
it sounds
robots.
The same.
Yeah. I like this because it's all like happy people, and it doesn't even mention the product hardly at all.
We're not Apple snots. We're happy.
We don't need to sell a product. We just need to show happy people, and you too will be happy. I've seen this a lot. I've been seeing it like crazy on the Grammys. It's a really very soft sell. Although some of these are YouTube videos, like that little Robosize video. So maybe there's a subtle YouTube plug. I'd like to be the person who has that job. That's it. That's the ad. Amazing. Huh? Lynn, have you? Is there anything you'd like to tell us about something you find cool or interesting or wonderful in the world?
Well, I've been on a slight digital hiatus lately.
That's a good thing.
But other than that, I've been using Slack a lot lately.
Boy, is that a hot product from Stuart Butterfield, one of the founders of Flickr.
Yeah, I mean, I find it really useful using it to talk, to work with clients on projects, as well as, you know, to talk with friends, like friends in groups. Although Twitter, I think, launched their groups feature a little bit too late. Some friends and I are using Slack in that way, and I'm using it with other teams as well as clients. So I'm really digging it. And, you know, you can integrate all of your cloud services basically with it to share files. So it's really it helps streamline productivity.
Right on. Slack. I haven't used it. I'll have to give it a try. I agree. Google Groups. I used to use Yahoo Groups like crazy. And Google Groups just came along a little too late in the game. I wish they had come sooner. I'm trying to think of what's the latest thing from Google I'm using. I'm using Pushbullet a lot. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pushbullet. We've mentioned this before, but it's gotten better and better and better. You put Pushbullet and Pushbullet on your Android device. I bet you it was in the Android arena, Jason, at some point.
No, it's a show favorite.
It's a classic. Sure. You put it on your Android device, and then you put it in your Chrome extension, and you'll get notifications from your phone to your desktop. You can actually send notifications to your phone from your desktop. It is a really slick way of communicating, and they've really increased the capabilities of this.
So I'm going to admit something here. So I saw suddenly out of nowhere it said, "Thank you for installing Pushbullet," and I said, "I didn't install Pushbullet. I don't remember installing Pushbullet." And I got freaked, so I just uninstalled it quickly to make sure I wasn't.
I wonder how that happened.
I don't know. Maybe it was a new version. And
somebody installed. See, so one of the things about Chrome, because you log in, is if somebody installs Pushbullet on one Chrome, it installs on all Chromes.
Yes. By the way, speaking of Chrome stuff,
yes, go ahead.
So you know how I get driven nuts by the accounts that you still haven't fixed, Google. And I was going crazy that even when I was not signed in to my Gmail account anywhere on the machine, every time I opened something new, it was defaulting to Gmail, not to my apps account. Finally figured out, I think it was Hangouts, the Hangouts app on Chrome.
Yes.
It's signed into my Gmail account.
Ah.
So even though the machine was signed into my apps account, everything on the machine was signed into my apps account, it started defaulting everything to my Gmail account.
Wow.
Which means that when somebody would send me a link to a document, I couldn't open it up because it wouldn't let me open it up in the account that it had been sent to.
Wow.
It would go to Gmail account. Google. Love you guys.
Googly.
But you gotta fix this.
So one other thing about Pushbullet, there is a Mac app now, which is nice, a desktop app. But also, if you go to the Pushbullet partners page, you can, for instance, have things like subscribe to notifications whenever Google buys something. Subscribe to a Google acquisition notification, a Yahoo acquisition, a Twitter acquisition, Facebook, Apple acquisition. So you'll know before. These are very useful for us, frankly. But there's a lot of, now this partner page is great. I mean, you can find out all sorts of stuff. The Amazon free app of the day, updates to CyanogenMod, news from Hacker News, Daring Fireball, if you're a Mac fan, Android news. So highly recommend, and it's free, pushbullet.com. You can add all your Android devices.
They recently allowed you, or activated the ability to reply to WhatsApp, Hangouts, and other things.
That's right.
Yes,
there's a reply
through
button
your computer.
Yeah.
So it's like notifications synced from your device to your computer back and forth, but you can interact with them as well, which saves you from pulling out your phone, if you're on the desktop.
I'd been using Mighty Text to do this, but Pushbullet now seems to be a more global solution. And I have to say, I really like it. A perennial favorite on All About Android.
Oh, yeah.
And now with Macintosh app, which is, I use Chrome so much I don't really need that, but that's kind of cool that they have an app for that. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this edition of This Week in Google. I want to thank Lynne D. Johnson for joining us.
Thank you, Lynn.
Really nice to have you.
Thank you for having me.
She programmed Fortran on punch cards, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you get to be Lynne D. Johnson. LynneDJohnson.com if you want to follow her on the web. She's got what's in the diary? Just like a blog?
Yeah, I need to relaunch my site, really.
That's what we all say every time.
That's what we all say, exactly.
Every time we mention our site.
I need to clean my closet.
I spent too much time on other forms of social media,
Yeah. It's ruined. Short-form social media like Twitter and Google Plus has ruined us for our blogs. We don't blog anymore. Anything else you want people to know? You can follow Lynne on Twitter. What's your Twitter? No?
Like I said, you can follow me on Twitter at Lynne Lover, right?
Lynne
Lover. And, like I said, I'll be at Lesbians Who Tech next week in San Francisco.
That's great. Do you have to be a lesbian to go?
No, it's lesbians and lesbians allies.
Lesbians and the people who love them.
The people who
Honorary
love
lesbians.
I like it. Where is that going to be?
It's going to be at the Castro
Of
Theater?
course.
Yeah.
Great venue. Love that venue. Well, Lynn, next time you're out here, come on and visit. Come up and visit us.
It's
We're
fun,
only
it's
an hour
fun to go up
north.
there, Lynn.
You do have to drive over a bridge, but that's the only part. Jeff doesn't like bridges.
I did
I
it
love
twice.
bridges.
We were out
doesn't
there.
like bridges.
I did it twice, Leo.
I know, and I'm very grateful. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you to Jeff Jarvis, too. He's a professor of journalism, ladies and gentlemen. Buzzmachine.com. He's a reformed television critic. And he joins us every week. We thank you so much for being here. Everybody, we do this show every Wednesday afternoon, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 2100 UTC. You can watch live at twit.tv, or that's nice because then you can be in the chat room and interact with us. But if not, and I do love the chat room regardless of what I say.
Yes.
But if you can't be here live, don't worry. On-demand audio and video always available after the fact at twit.tv/twig or wherever podcasts are aggregated and distributed. iTunes would be a good start. You can also there's a Twit app for every platform now. Not thanks to us. We didn't write any of them. But thanks to great independent third-party developers who've done such wonderful work on iOS, on Android, on Windows Phone, on Roku. We really appreciate that. So find that Twit app, download it, and don't miss an episode of This Week in Google. See you next time.